Calvin Booth, the general manager of the Denver Nuggets, has said a few things recently about the Nuggets' chances of winning a title and some of the moves he's made in the past and the present. So I just want to read out some quotes from him. The first quote I'm going to read is, "Our guys are tired. It's going to be hard to repeat, but if everything is optimized, we should win 3 or 4 titles." So what do I think about this quote? I think obviously it might sound arrogant for Calvin Booth to say this openly, and I think you got to be careful when you say these things. But I do definitely believe the Nuggets have a chance to win probably 2 more titles if things go their way. That would make it a total of 3 titles. So it's a possibility. It's going to hinge on a few things, just staying healthy, luck, because I do think you need to get lucky to win multiple titles as a Spurs fan. I could definitely say this. There were scenarios where I felt if the Spurs got 1 or 2 breaks during a playoff series, they would have won back-to-back championships. And you could say vice versa. If they didn't hit a big shot or make a big play, they may not have won the few championships they did win. So it can go either way, but you really, really do need luck on your side, I feel, when it comes to winning multiple titles. But I think the other thing I just don't like about that statement, I feel you're putting a target on your back when you openly say that, especially as a GM, because these guys are competitors. All these teams are competitors, so that gives them more fuel to the fire to come at you even harder and give you even a bigger shot, take their hardest shot at you, as they would say. Just you don't want to give your opponents more motivation than they need. You don't want to give them the extra juice. So I don't think that was smart for Booth to do. Granted, it could work out for him. I remember when the Warriors owner, Lacob, said several years ago that they were light years ahead of the league and that they were going to win multiple titles. Unfortunately, they did, and I hate the Warriors, but I also felt that was luck too. I felt if Kevin Durant did not come to the Warriors, I don't believe they would have ever won another title again. I think they would be at 1 title. I know some people would disagree, but even their last title they won was due to Kevin Durant signing with them because they traded Kevin Durant for D'Lo and they flipped D'Lo for Wiggins, who ended up helping them win that 4th title. So it was a chain reaction. But again, they needed luck. That was a fluky scenario of Kevin Durant coming there. So I feel again it proves my point that you need luck to win in this league multiple titles. But like I said, I just didn't think that was smart for Booth to openly say that. Just you're just giving guys more motivation, and you just don't know. Some team can make a radical trade that can change the balance of order in the league and tip the scales in their favor, or some free agent could sign with another team. So there's a lot of things that are out of your control, but I do think the Nuggets have a great core where they can win multiple titles, like I said, if they remain healthy. The other thing I just want to read from Calvin Booth is about Bruce Brown leaving. Some of these teams are trying to get Bruce, trying to make it worth it. It's like, just be careful what you wish for. Peyton Watson's bigger, he's longer, he's more athletic, he guards better, he passes better. So this was Kelvin Booth talking about Bruce Brown leaving the Nuggets and how they're going to be basically fine without him because their second-year player, Peyton Watson, is overall better than Bruce. I didn't think that was necessary for him to say. Bruce Brown was a very good role player. I like Bruce Brown. I've liked him for a few years, going back to when he was with the Nets. And I do think that is a big loss off the bench not to have him anymore. Maybe Peyton Watson can replace him, like Calvin Booth is saying, but I didn't think that was necessary to say what he said, only because you don't need to disrespect Bruce Brown like that. He was good for you guys. And at the same time, you're putting a lot of pressure on Peyton Watson to come in. He's only a second-year player, but you're putting a lot of pressure on him to succeed. Maybe that will work in your favor because Peyton Watson will see that you're backing him and will feel like he has a green light to go all out. So I guess it could work that way, but still, I think it was unnecessary pressure he put on this young guy. The other quote I like to read is him talking about why he traded Bones Highland. I knew you couldn't have 2 guys that couldn't guard, and we couldn't have 2 guys that were young and kind of more me guys. Mike makes $30 million. He's one of the best shooters in the NBA. So Bones, there's no place for you. That was Kellen Booth justifying trading Bones Highland, and that was a trade that worked out for them. Obviously, they were able to win a title without him, but again, you don't need to put that out there. I don't get why you're doing that, because I feel when you start bashing players, especially after they leave or you trade them, you're creating this ill will around you throughout the league where guys are going to think about you and they'll think like, wow, this guy trashes his own players. He's disrespectful. So you don't want to create that reputation of just being that type of guy, being the scummy type of GM that guys can't trust. So I just think he should have been quiet about that stuff. Just not smart on his part. Just that to me is surprising. And I'll say this, there have been GMs throughout the history of the NBA that didn't like certain players on their teams and they got rid of it, but they were very coy about it. They didn't openly talk about it until years later or until like their career was over. Like Jerry West, for example, he didn't like Nick Van Exel when he was on the Lakers. He didn't like his attitude. And he admitted years later, after he was no longer the GM of the Lakers, he had issues with Van Exel. So I just feel that there's a professional way of doing it. Essentially, you don't need to be that open about it. Just while you're a GM, just I think those things can bite you in your butt. So I just think Callum Booth talks too much, and he shouldn't be rambling too much right now because he's currently the GM. Save that for later on in your career when your career has I would say has longevity and you've been around for a long time, or after you're retired from being a GM, and then you can be more open about these things. But I feel now's not the time to do that. So that's my take on Callum Booth, and that's pretty much it.